welcome to the Arm Wrestling Artist. My name is Leah RObb and this is my channel. Today I wanted to talk about commentating and the controversy that's been surrounding that in the arm wrestling community. Why am I motivated to talk about it? Well, one of the reasons why I have bothered to follow arm wrestling is because I really enjoyed the atmosphere in the arm wrestling community. It's almost like a kind of family, and I suppose also the fact that arm wrestling is still an underground sport makes you feel like you're part of something special and new. But ever since the discussion about whether there should be live commentaries, I'm watching that which I loved just starting to crumble. So I thought it would be worth just bringing up a few thoughts. I'm glad that it seems like the whole conversation, debate, argument, fight about whether to do commentaries and whether they're hurting East versus West, it's kind of laid down again, the whole whirlwind or hurricane around that. And I was pleased to see Ray doing his bit to try and calm things down. But there are some reasons why I still want to bring it up, and it's because the kind of attitude could re-emerge in some other situations. So I think it's worth bringing up. And I can't help but think of a quote that says, "A house divided against itself cannot stand." In other words, if you're fighting with yourselves, then that is going to topple you. It's the opposite of unity being strength. So Engen asked people who have been doing commentaries not to do them for East versus West. He wasn't saying never to do them, just not for his show. And of course, he has spent an awful lot of money and energy, time on this. So I can understand those who've been saying try and respect his wishes. And again, one of the things I've noticed through life is that the more passionate you are about something, the more dangerously zealous you can become. So the very passion that builds something up can also be the passion and the zeal that kind of tears things down. So that is one of the things just to bear in mind. And I know that without that passion, you cannot create what Engen is creating. It's just not possible to really put that much heart into something unless you have passion about it. One of the things that I've noticed is that often your strength is also your weakness. So what you're passionate about can both be something that builds up and tears down. And for me, one of the things that is a strength for me is the willingness to speak out when something needs to be said. One thing I've become aware of is, though, sometimes I speak out when something shouldn't be said. So that's my strength, weakness thing that I need to just keep in check. But I do believe this is one of the moments where speaking out is a good idea. So here I go. I know that Ryan Bowen has been commentating and been passionate about arm wrestling for at least 10 years. And of course that's nothing compared to Engen. But, he's been doing these talks with John Brzenk, even when John was, off the radar. He somehow managed to get John into these conversations about arm wrestling, and I think they were quite popular. And I'm sure they did a lot for the sport too. So Ryan was keen to continue to do these commentaries even though Engen asked him not to. Then you've got Pradeep, who wanted to voice his opinion in an honest way and be not afraid of what the big people are saying. So for example, he may have made an enemy out of Engen from what he said, and he said he was more willing to say what he meant and what he thought than to keep cozy with the big guns. And I have respect for that. And in fact, if you're not willing to say what you really mean, but are just saying what you think will be popular among people that can pay your bills, then you may as well keep quiet. The only thing about Pradeep is when he explained his computer scamming as being a way to protect people from being scammed for more money, I lost a bit of my trust in him. So that aside, here comes another quote. With great power comes great responsibility. So if you are somebody who has a lot of followers, then you will have a lot of people hearing what you say. So you have to be extra careful about what you're saying. One of the things that I've been thinking about since I first tried to record this, this is a re-recording, about the apparent truth, is that if you are interdependent, that somehow keeps people in check. So if you like, Ingen is relying on people buying the pay-per-view. If the public have been getting upset about not being allowed to get live commentary, then that will also cause a problem for Ingen. Ingen is relying on people buying the pay-per-view, and the pay-per-view may actually go up from there being live commentary, and the live commentary is relying on there being something to commentate on. So there is like an intermarriage that everyone needs each other, and perhaps that is what will cause and create peace. I hope so anyway. And it's interesting to think about arm wrestling as being a kind of teenage sport. It's not grown into a hard and fast thing where the commentators know their place and the promoters know their place and the rules know their place. They don't. There's so many things that are still up for grabs or can change, and that is a volatile place to be. Another person I wanted to talk about was Neil Pickup, and I did a rap for John Brzenk because I wanted to do a portrait of him. That's the artist side of me. Thinks, well, if I don't do something creative with the passions and interests that I take, then I'm wasting an opportunity. And when I discovered John Brzenk, I couldn't believe what I was witnessing. I sent Neil Pickup my rap, and lo and behold, he replied. And he didn't have to do that. He wasn't earning any money from me. When people are starting to say, "Oh, Neil Pickup's just in it for the money," then just think for a moment. The guy has been in the sport for 30 years, and it's not been a money maker, and he's not been John Brzenk. He's not been at the top of the pack, earning every little penny that was. He has clearly been in it for passion and for interest, and so it really peed me off when I saw people just, he's in the money, I can't trust him. Well, maybe there was a major miscalculation from him. I would give you that. As for this reaction of just saying, spewing out your opinion without thinking about the fact that he has been in the sport for so long. And as for the lying, well, I don't know, it was a few months before, but I'm sure I heard him saying what he wanted to do to create an Arm Wars with a live feel. Okay, so I believe that's true, and that's what he did, and he created the buzz he wanted. But what his experiment proved was that truth is actually considered pretty valuable, and I think that's a pretty good discovery. I think we just need to be a bit careful as to how we just tear people down. I mean, Neil Pickup is the voice of arm wrestling. If you were to make him leave, there's just a huge bit of history that has just been chucked out the window, and seriously, you don't want to do that. As for me and my arm wrestling, see this? It does sound quite hard. Stay strong, but don't get massive. In fact, I'm going to interview Travis Graham about PEDs and arm wrestling, and what could be good alternatives to chemical enhancements. And we may try and do a live airing of that on Saturday. So keep your eyes open for that.